Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss how the old rivals, France and the UK, appear to be having their own little competition to rival the excitement of the Euros. It's called Political Hold My Beer, a contest to see who can have the craziest, most chaotic politics. Over the past few years, the UK, I would say, has been winning handsomely. Yes, political protest in France is next level. It's not uncommon to set fire to their own streets to make the point. But in the UK, it's the actual government that's been burning the country, albeit metaphorically. And our general election has been the craziest I've ever seen. And I suspect that even historians would be hard-pressed to find an election as mad as this one from the annals of history. And actually, quite a lot of pre-Second World War parliamentary elections were pretty bizarre. But not wanting to be outdone, President Macron called snap parliamentary elections in France last week after the National Rally Party made worrying gains in the European elections. These elections are 3 years early and everyone lost their minds. And given that the French don't mess about, not only did Macron trigger these parliamentary elections after Sunak triggered ours, but they're also going to take place before ours. This is not normal, I have to say. I'm guessing Macron saw advantage in catching people off guard, but as with Sunak's election announcement, it caught his own side off guard as well. So let's go over some of the maddest outcomes since that announcement. First, the left wing seemed to me to be the most dismayed about the snap elections. They seem to be the rudest towards Macron, and yet they've risen to the challenge. Ordinarily too divided to make much impact on French politics, they have been jolted into action, and the largest left-wing parties have now formed an alliance group, including the Greens, who normally place a lot of weight on ideological purity. There's been polling to suggest there is overwhelming support amongst the supporters of those parties for this alliance. So within a matter of days, they've agreed on common candidates, a common platform. This despite a prominent socialist politician, Raphael Glucksmann, apparently trying to kneecap the alliance, but the rest of them just went, yeah, you do your own thing, mate, we're just going to carry on with this. Funny how an emergency can focus minds and move past divisive ideology. An incredible level of unity, which cannot be said of the right wing. The most hilarious meltdown seems to be coming from the Republicans. Their president announced almost immediately that his party would form an alliance with the National Rally. Like hell we will, said the rest of the party leadership, and called on him to resign. Instead, he physically locked himself into the party headquarters and contributed to most of the drama as it was filtering through in the British news media. The leadership sacked him as president and expelled him from the party. But he insisted they can't do that and sought a court ruling. Last night, a judge ruled that the party indeed couldn't expel Ciotti in this way. So legally speaking, he's still the president. So goodness knows what happens there now. I gather the Republicans are actually split fairly close down the middle as to whether they should ally with National Rally or not. So it's not even like the supporters of the party have a clear view. And yet, opinion is nowhere near as evenly split amongst the party membership. Now, consider that candidates have to be nominated this weekend. There's only like 2 weeks left till the elections. So parties don't really have time for public meltdowns. So I've got no idea how this is supposed to resolve itself for the Republicans. Just because Ciotti is president, I don't know that that means he's free to just form his alliance against the will of the rest of the party leadership. I suppose I'm going to find out. And now they've got very limited time for negotiations with their right-wing brethren, even if he can do that. Then we have Reconquest. This is a party even further to the right. Its most famous feature is that they're not terribly keen on Muslims. We get a bit of that on the right. This is a slightly reversed position to the Republicans because their party president, Zemmour, does not want to ally with National Rally and has expelled Marion Maréchal from the party for forcefully arguing that they should. I imagine it was for more how she made the argument than the fact that she just made it. So she announced that she wanted to ally with National Rally at a big press conference where Zemmour was stood behind her, but she hadn't bothered to mention to her party president that she was planning to say this. In this case, however, it would seem that the vast majority of that party are behind the alliance. So a case of the party president being out of step with the general views of their party. It's also worth noting that Maréchal is part of the Le Pen family. the granddaughter of the Nazi collaborator who formed what is now National Rally and is sometimes more casually referred to as a result the Nazi Party. She's also the niece of Marine Le Pen, if you're keeping score. It would seem there is now a coup taking place as Zemmour puts forward his candidates. Maréchal urges people to vote for the ones who favoured the alliance. So they're basically imploding as well. In terms of Macron centrists, they don't look like making gains. In fact, they look like finishing quite far behind. But as I said when I first discussed this, one idea that's emerging is that Macron may be comfortable with the far right forming a government because the next presidential elections are not for 3 years, and the greater danger was probably considered that they would slowly build up momentum to the point where they would capture the presidency at that point. But if they win enough seats to form a government, there are 3 years for the French people to see how crap they are with power. And on the evidence of the past week, it doesn't look like their unity is going to hold up as strongly as the left, which is weird to say. It would mean Macron still deals with foreign defence issues, of course. He'd still be the president, where he's actually doing very well. And the Nazis would sort out domestic issues where Macron's arsing it up anyway. Not that I necessarily think he agrees with that. And then there was one more mad little development, not directly related to parties. So Alain Finkielkraut, who's an Auschwitz survivor, and from what I can tell, was quite left-wing in his younger days, although he's got a checkered history, shall we say. Never mind that. He's famously, he is a famous Jewish speaker. That's the important point here. And yet, he said he might have to vote for Le Pen. Why? In order to vote against anti-Semitism, he says. Now, here's the thing. My knowledge of French politics is nowhere near as detailed as that of British politics. I take an interest, just as I do with American politics, because these are countries whose politics shapes our own. Very influential on UK politics. They are very important countries, so it's worth knowing something about it. But my understanding is that just as in the UK, yes, there are anti-Semites on the left, and some of them are, major figures, and really should be disavowed when they're often not. But that is not to say that the left wing are anti-Semitic or that left-wing parties are anti-Semitic. And yet National Rally, the one he's saying he might have to support as some sort of like lesser evil, they've pushed anti-Semitic rhetoric in the past, as well as, of course, Islamophobic views. And like I said, they were literally founded by actual Nazi collaborators, and the descendants of those Nazis still run the show. Cannot tell you how mad it is to see an Auschwitz survivor saying that he might be forced to back the actual Nazis as the least worst case scenario in their view. So as mad as things are in British politics, it just goes to show that France are also capable of showing just how political chaos can be done at times. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe for further content and click the like button. You can also sign up for memberships if you'd like to support the channel further. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.